Oh yeah. Feels good.
What's up, people? It's your girl Songbird.
Dante Black.
And we're back for another episode. You know what it is. It's your favorite internet show. Polar Opposites, the Melanin Edition.
A little bit of a different background. We don't have anything behind us. Kind of at a park. It's a beautiful day out, so we decided to shoot outside.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. A beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine?
No.
Whatever. If this is your first time tuning in, what's up? Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you hit that like and that subscribe button that's right under you and that notification bell that's right beside it so that you're notified every time a new episode of Polar Opposites pops up. And for our returning opposite fam,
What they do?
hello and thanks for tuning in. So let's get into today's topic. Was school integration a good thing? And what school integration is when blacks and whites started going to school together. If that's public school, private institutions, what have you be. That started in May 17th of 1954 after the Brown versus the Board of Education case was over.
Roughly 62 years ago.
So in my opinion, I'll have to say yes, I do, because it taught us how to get along with others. And even though that may have not been an issue because all we've gone to school with is the people that look like us. So we never got to interact with other people and learn their ways, their customs, and how they teach things, how they do things. So I feel like in a way it was good for us. And side note, if you guys want to kind of see how it may have happened, tune into the musical Hairspray. It's really good. And what's your opinion on that?
My opinion is I think that it was a bad idea for us to integrate. I understand everybody wants to be the whole, hey, we're all one race.
All inclusive.
Yeah, no. I think we lost our identity when we decided to integrate because during that time frame we had our own schools, which means we could teach our own curriculum, meaning we could have taught our children the correct history, the right history, the truthful history. But instead, we were more so concerned on being included with other races and then following their agenda versus following our own agenda, teaching our own. And I think that was a mistake because if you look at things now we're starting to see people wanting to now get more black history put into schools, and so now more African Americans are trying to open up schools, private schools, so that they can teach their kids about their history, because in these schools, whether it's private or public, our history is not being taught. Their history is being taught. So we lose our identity when we go to those schools and we say, hey, well, let's learn about Christopher Columbus. Okay, the beginning of all black people started at slavery. First off, Christopher Columbus, that's a different story. That's complete bull. And then secondly, black people didn't start at slavery. And this is why we need our own school to teach our kids the correct way of things.
But this is where I differ with that. Now, I do agree that with us having our own schools, we'll be able to teach our history. But even so, if we're not learning our history in school, the integrated school now, then what are your parents doing? Because I know I went to a predominantly white school through all of my... Not today. Through all of my schooling from K through 12, I went to predominantly white schools. But I can still spit black history knowledge like that. So that was something my mom taught us. She made it her mission to make sure that my siblings and I can talk to you about black history. But we can also tell you about George Washington. I can tell you about George Washington and George Washington Carver. So if you don't know who George Washington Carver is, first off, just hit me up. DM me. I got you.
Well, I went to predominantly black.
And you still don't know shit.
But at the end of the day, doesn't matter whether you went to a white school or a black school, is all about knowing about your history. I don't care what race you are, Chinese, you're Arab, it doesn't matter. As long as you know about your history. Now, I understand you say you learned in school about those certain things, but I'm pretty sure it would have made it that much easier or made the conversation a little bit better when your mom was bringing that to your attention about, hey, you know, this is black history, this black. You're like, yeah, we learned that in school, but mom, hey, this is maybe something that you may not know. As opposed to you sitting there in awe, and then she, in the back of her mind, thinking that, what the hell am I sending you to school for if they're not even going to teach you the truth?
Well, that's the thing about it, though. My mom, she gave us, we had a sense of identity. We had a sense of self. So we were very in tune with our history. So we didn't have to, oh, wow, Mom, I didn't know that. No, she made it intriguing for us. So where we wanted to know more about ourselves. We wanted to know more about our history. Why are things like this? Why do we look like this? Where did we come from? She made us want to know that. So it wasn't that she just had to sit there and teach us. She gave us the tools, and we wanted to learn more.
Okay, I can respect that. But the average household isn't doing that. So that's why it's detrimental to the African American community, because let's say a parent isn't an educator. Your mom isn't educated, but let's just say the next person isn't, their parent isn't an educator. So they have to go work 2 and 3 jobs, and they don't have time to teach their children about this African American history. When the kids are in school by 8 hours, 7-8 hours, well, the teachers can be teaching them the correct things, and then the parents come on the back end and say, hey, you know what, they taught you this much, but let's get a little bit deeper into it, as opposed to now let me reintroduce you to this whole other culture that you know nothing about when you're that culture.
Well, then that's something that the educators should want to be able to do. That even though you do have to teach this so-called world history, you also need to know that you have these kids in your class that don't look the same as everyone, and they need to learn about their history as well.
But that's not a part of the agenda. The part of the agenda is not to have you know who you are. The agenda is to keep you far from where you should be and what you should know. Keep you as far away from that as possible. Because once you have an identity of self, they can no longer control you.
But the agenda is also subject to change.
But not if it's governed and ran by someone that does not look like you and I.
Well, then that means that if we know that our children aren't learning what they need to learn, we need to take it into our own hands to make sure that we're the ones out helping to teach them. Like, yes, this is so-called American history, but this is your history. This is the history about you. This is black history.
And that's why I think we should have never integrated, because we wouldn't be having this problem. We would know our history, and then we can learn a little bit of their history, because none of their history, honestly, we use to this day. As adults, we don't use that stuff. Now you having the conscious movement, people, because they want to know. You want to know
but they
who you
also
are.
teach us algebra. When have you ever had to know that E equals MC squared?
I don't
Never.
know. I personally
Never.
have never. I'm pretty sure someone has.
When have you had to know the slope of an intercept?
Well,
Y equals mx plus b.
Well, due to my profession, we do have to know things like that. So, you know, we do a lot
And that's why
of
you stay lost
math.
every day.
Very
You
good.
add. What are you talking about?
No, you add, you subtract, you work with angles,
Simple,
fractions, all type
simple
of things.
math.
Okay. I'm successful at my job, so.
All right, guys, so what's your take on this? Do you think the integration of schools was a good thing? Was it a bad thing? And should you think it's something that we should try and implement now? Leave us a comment down below and let us know what you think. Once again, I'm Songbird, and we'll see you next time, guys.
Dante Black.
Chill to the next episode.